In this video, we will cover how endpoint security can protect iOS mobile devices. We will go over the requirements, which protections are available for iOS, how to deploy the mobile app, and how to configure and use the protections in WatchGuard Cloud. Let's get started. In terms of licensing, you must have WatchGuard EPP, EPDR, or Advanced EPDR to protect iOS devices. For an iPhone or iPod Touch to be protected, it must be running iOS 13 or higher, and iPads must be running the iPadOS 13 or higher. The features for mobile security are a little different between iOS and Android. iOS supports antivirus protections which scan web connections for malware and phishing URLs. iOS also supports many anti theft protections, including geolocating the device, as well as remote management actions like sending an alarm, remotely locking, or even wiping the device. In addition, iOS supports web access control, so you can block categories of websites both in browsers and in apps. Finally, iOS supports hardware and software inventories, so you can easily see details about the hardware in the device and what apps have been installed. For comparison, you can see the features supported by Android here as well. For more information about how these work, check out the other video in this course. To use all those features I just mentioned, you need to use a mobile device management or MDM solution, and you may need to put the Apple device into what is called supervised mode. Let's take a minute to talk about what those are. An MDM solution enables administrators to remotely manage and secure the mobile device. So you can remotely lock or wipe the device, enforce company policies, deploy and manage installed apps, and get more information about how the device is being used. MDMs are essential for organizations where you are providing mobile devices to users and for managing devices that users bring into the environment. The exact feature set available will depend on the MDM solution that you are using. Supervised mode for Apple devices gives you even more control over the device configuration and the restrictions that you can apply. You can do things like set up the Wi Fi networks and VPN connections ahead of time, restrict features available to the user like FaceTime or AirDrop, enforce MDM enrollment, and more. Enabling supervised mode involves deploying it to a wiped device during activation. So, this is usually only used for a device that your organization owns that you're providing to a user. You can always have users bring their own device and add them to your MDM without them being in supervised mode. Now that we understand MDMs and supervised mode, it is important to understand the different methods that you can use to deploy WatchGuard endpoint security to iOS devices. Which method you choose will determine which features are available to you. First, you can simply install the app into the device and register it to your account, similar to how you deploy endpoint security in Android. This is the easiest way to get started with iOS mobile security, but is also the most limited, and you will only be able to use geolocation, the remote alarm, and see hardware information. If you are using a third party MDM solution, you can either have the user download the app or you can deploy it to their device using your MDM. Once deployed, you will get the same set of basic features geolocation, remote alarm, and hardware inventory. If you want to take advantage of the web antivirus and anti phishing protections, as well as web access control, the device must also be in supervised mode. As part of WatchGuard Endpoint Security for iOS, WatchGuard provides a built in MDM solution as well. When you enroll a device into the WatchGuard MDM, you get the basic features of geolocation, remote alarm and hardware information, as well as WatchGuard MDM specific features to remotely lock and wipe the device, as well as see a software inventory. As before, to get the full feature set and use the antivirus, anti phishing protections, and web access control, the device must also be in supervised mode. So, to deploy the app and get started, the steps you need to take will also depend on which method you are using to manage the device. If you are not using an MDM, you can simply go to the Apple App Store, download the WatchGuard mobile security app, and then register the app with your account using a QR code or emailed link. If you are using the WatchGuard MDM, you must first register a push certificate with Apple for the MDM to function properly. Then you must decide if this device is going to be managed in supervised mode or not. And if it is, you need to go through the process of configuring and activating the device in supervised mode first. Then you can install the MDM profile along with the mobile security app to register it to your account. If you are using a third party MDM, the process is similar but handled in your MDM solution. You'll need to sort out the Apple push certificate and make the choice of whether to use the device in supervised mode or not. Then you can deploy the mobile security app and register it to your WatchGuard account. For the purposes of this video, I will be using the WatchGuard MDM with a device in supervised mode to gain access to the full set of features. So here I am in WatchGuard Cloud. I selected Monitor, then Endpoints, and went to the Computers list. From here, I will select Add Computers and choose iOS. The information you see here about the Apple Push certificate is for the WatchGuard MDM only. If you are intending to use your own MDM or want to just install the app without an MDM, you can ignore this and select the links at the bottom to get the instructions for those methods. In this case, since I am going to use the WatchGuard MDM, I will follow the directions here. First, I need to download the certificate signing request from the link here. Then I will go to the Apple certification portal and sign in with my Apple account. After I accept the terms of use, I can upload the certificate signing request to Apple. Apple will sign the certificate and I can then download it here. Now I can go back to WatchGuard Cloud and upload the signed certificate to complete the process. It is very important to note that the Apple Push certificate is only valid for 1 year, and if it expires without being renewed, you will be unable to manage your Apple devices with the WatchGuard MDM and will have to re enroll them from scratch. Please set a reminder to renew this certificate well before the expiration date. Now, from here, I could just install the mobile security app and register the phone with my account using either the QR code or an emailed link. But if my phone is not already in supervised mode, I will not be able to use web access control or the antivirus and anti phishing protections, as I covered earlier. I want to use the full set of protections, so I will head over to a MacBook in order to set up supervised mode. To get started, I will open the Apple Configurator tool, which I downloaded from the App Store and is only available on macOS. In this tool, I can create profiles and blueprints that are used to configure device settings and enable supervised mode on an iOS device. First, I will go to File and create a new profile, then give it a name. Profiles are where I can define the various settings that I might want to apply to my device. For example, if I select Wi-Fi, I can enter the details for a Wi-Fi network that I want the device to automatically connect to, so the user does not need to know the password or enter any details themselves. Looking on the left, you can see some of the other categories that can be configured as well. Maybe I want to add a VPN profile so the user can easily VPN into the corporate network when they're outside of the office. Maybe I want to configure specific passcode settings the user must use. Or maybe I want to disable certain features on the phone like AirDrop or FaceTime. All of that can be configured here in the profiles. After I save my profile, I will now need to go to File at the top and create a new blueprint and give it a name. The blueprint is basically a collection of the settings that I will be sending to the phone when it is activated. So I can go to Add and add the profile I just created to this blueprint. Now I can go up to Prepare, and this is where I can specify that when I deploy this blueprint to a device, it will be deployed in supervised mode. I will skip the MDM enrollment, and I will skip entering an Apple account. I need to enter some information about my organization. Then I will create a new supervision identity. After that, I can customize the initial setup of the iOS device. I can choose to go through the full setup, or I could disable some or even all of these steps to keep things simple for me when I prepare the device. Maybe I do not want or need to do things like configure the action button or set up Apple Pay. In my example, I will not show any steps to keep it very simple. Now, I will select Prepare and save the settings to the blueprint. At this point, I need to go ahead and connect the iOS device to the MacBook. Once I allow it, the device will show up here in the list, and you can see that this device is showing the initial setup welcome screen because I have already gone through the process of turning off Find My Phone and wiping it to factory defaults. You must wipe the phone before continuing. When I select the phone, you can see some more information about it. I will go to Blueprints and select the blueprint that I created in order to apply it to this device. After a short time, the device will be activated, and you can now see the device is on the home screen. You can also see this supervised tag in the corner to indicate that it is now in supervised mode. I am all set to head over to the phone to complete the process. Here on the phone, I have already logged into my Apple account, and I emailed the link for the MDM profile from WatchGuard Cloud. If I open up the Mail app, I can find the link here along with the next steps. So I will click the link and need to select Allow so the MDM profile can be downloaded into my device. Then I will head over to Settings, go to General, and scroll down to VPN and Device Management to see the downloaded profile. I need to click into the profile and select Install to confirm that I want WatchGuard to manage this device. After I install the MDM profile, I will be taken over to the App Store and asked to install the WatchGuard mobile security app. Once the app is installed, I will go ahead and open it, and it will register with my WatchGuard Cloud account. You will also see some permissions requested. Notifications are required for the remote alarm to function. Once it is registered, I can see the status of the protections on the device. So now we are all set with enrolling the phone. We set it into supervised mode, installed the MDM profile, and installed the mobile security app. I will head back to WatchGuard Cloud, and the phone now appears in my computers list. If I click into it, I can see some more details about the device. And as you can see, the anti-theft functions along the top are currently disabled. I will need to apply some different settings to enable those features, so I'll head over to Settings at the top and select the Mobile Devices category. Note the tabs for Android and iOS at the top and make sure that you select the right one. I will select Add, and you can see the various options available. The default antivirus settings should be good, but I can add exceptions or turn things off if I need to. Under anti-theft, I will enable the anti-theft protection, and I can disable geolocation or allow the user to enable privacy mode if I have concerns about collecting their location data. Finally, under web access control, I will enable it, and I can choose any categories that I do not want users to access. In my example, I will find the shopping categories and deny all of them. Now I will save my new settings, and I need to either apply it to the group or device. I will just select my device, go to Settings, and change them to my new settings. Now that the features are enabled, I can see the anti-theft options are available, but geolocation is not going to work quite yet. If I switch back to the phone, you can see that the app requires location permissions to enable geolocation to work. In my case, I needed to first go into the privacy and security settings and enable location services on the device. Then I can go back to the app and click on the error message to allow it. You cannot see the pop-ups here, but I am allowing the location while the app is open, then always allowing location so it is always available. Because you need to add these permissions, make sure you configure the anti-theft settings ahead of time so you can accept the location permissions before giving the phone to the user. Back in WatchGuard Cloud, I can try geolocating again, and now the device is located and shows me the location and battery percentage on the map. I can also use the other anti-theft options available. I can use Remote Alarm to send a notification to the user. This pops up as an app notification on the lock screen. I can also lock the device, which will put it back on the lock screen and require the user to unlock it with their passcode or Face ID. And I can remotely wipe the device if it has been stolen or is no longer in use. This method of last resort will reset the device to factory defaults, and you will lose access to it, but this can be great to have if the device is lost or stolen and you're not able to retrieve it. Scrolling down on the Details tab, I can see some basic information about the phone, timestamps for the last time it checked in, as well as the status of the protections. On the Detections tab, I can see any detections from the antivirus protection. On the Hardware tab, I can find more information about the CPU, memory, and storage on the device. On the Software tab, I can see a list of installed apps on the device. And on the Settings tab, I can see which settings are applied to this device and where they are coming from. In the top right, I can refresh the status, move the device to another group in my account, or delete it from my account. If I go back to the phone, I can test the web access controls by opening a browser and trying to reach a shopping website. You can see that the user receives a message that the website in question is restricted. This also applies to apps as well. For example, if I open the Amazon app, you can see that it does not load correctly. This may not work for every app, so be sure to test this. That will do it for iOS mobile security. In this video, we learned that mobile security is available with WatchGuard EPP, EPDR, and Advanced EPDR, and it requires iOS or iPadOS 13 and higher. We went over the different methods that you can use to deploy WatchGuard mobile security to your iOS devices, and how the available features will change depending on if you are using an MDM or if the device is in supervised mode. When using the anti-theft protections, make sure you enable them during the onboarding process so you can allow the location permissions required for geolocation to function. You can use the anti-theft actions and review the device information in WatchGuard Cloud.